I want to move on to the other big story. The season of haze and toxic air is back in Delhi NCR, and to try and bring some respite, 2 cloud seeding trials were conducted today by the Delhi government. It happened this afternoon. They're saying that there is a chance of rain, but we don't know. It hasn't rained yet. This is after the Delhi cabinet approved a proposal to conduct 5 cloud seeding trials in the month of May, that was earlier this year, the cost of which is a little over 3 crores. The Delhi government signed a memorandum of understanding with IIT Kanpur to carry out these cloud seeding trials to stimulate rainfall and clear the haze that has been blanketing Delhi for the last 10 days or so. So what exactly is cloud seeding? How does it work? Will it work at all? Is there any proof to show that? Cloud seeding is basically a weather modification technique that enhances precipitation from the clouds. What it does is it disperses certain chemicals like silver iodide, potassium iodide, or even dry ice into the clouds. It's shot into these clouds, cumulonimbus clouds, basically, which are rain-bearing clouds. These chemicals are shot into it through rockets. They then serve as nuclei for water droplet formation or H2O formation. These chemicals mimic the particles that serve as the surfaces for condensation, which means the temperature there goes extremely low and it leads to condensation. This process then facilitates the formation of ice crystals in the clouds, which can then lead to artificial rain, which is, of course, a potential solution to combating a severe air pollution. If it rains, then the sky is clear. Now, the national capital is infamous for its polluted air, its polluted skies, particularly at this time of the year. There are a combination of factors. There is, of course, high vehicular traffic, construction dust, Diwali crackers, and, of course, not to mention stubble burning, which happens around this time, this season. So all of these factors put together, there is anyway an elevated level of pollution. The problem gets exacerbated in the winter months. We're at the start of the winter now. Post-Diwali AQI has been consistently in the poor category or the severe category. Smoke that's been released from farm fires in neighboring states like Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, etc. also add to the toxic mix. But this year, thankfully, the stubble burning has been delayed because of the excessive flooding that happened in Punjab last month. GRAP 2 is in effect in the national capital, and today the Commission for Air Quality Management decided to ban all non-BS6 commercial vehicles from national capital, from Delhi, starting November 1. So if you don't have a BS6 engine and if you happen to have a commercial vehicle, then you cannot fly into and out of the national capital. But can artificial rain wash away Delhi's woes? Let's listen into some political reactions and then we'll get a guest in.
लगातार हम क्योंकि दिल्ली के प्रदूषण को लेकर के अलग-अलग तरह के स्टेप्स ले रहे हैं, उसमें जो भी संभव प्रयास सरकार के द्वारा हो सकता है उसे हम करना चाहते हैं। तो हर चीज़ को हमने ट्राई किया है और इसीलिए क्लाउड सीडिंग को भी हमने एक ट्रायल दिया है कि इसके माध्यम से यदि दिल्ली के पॉल्यूशन की समस्या का समाधान हो सकता है तो हमें करना चाहिए। पर ये एक एक्सपेरिमेंट है, देखते हैं इसमें से क्या निकल के आता है, और एक्सपेरिमेंट अगर सफल हो जाता है तो मुझे लगता है कि एक समाधान जो दिल्ली वासियों के लिए बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण होगा वो निकल के आएगा।
देखिए, क्लाउड सीडिंग की अभी एक ट्रायल हुई है, बूंदाबांदी अभी यहाँ पे भी पता चल रहा हुई है। अभी आईआईटी कानपुर रिपोर्ट देगी शाम को पूरी। दूसरी ट्रायल के लिए भी अभी मेरठ से एयरक्राफ्ट जो है टेक ऑफ हुआ है, अभी दूसरी ट्रायल भी करेंगे। ये दिल्ली के अंदर तीसरी ट्रायल होगी। 2 आज की ट्रायल है और एक इससे पहले भी हो चुकी। पहले ट्रायल हुई थी तो 15 से 20% माना जा रहा था कि मॉइस्चर था बादलों में, जो कि बहुत कम नमी थी। इसके अंदर अगर हम कामयाबी हासिल करते तो ये अपने आप में एक ऐतिहासिक कामयाबी होगी। 15, 18 मिनट, 20 मिनट की ये एक क्लाउड्स के अंदर जाकर सीडिंग करी गई थी और अभी दूसरी ट्रायल में इसका शायद नंबर बढ़ जाएगा।
So I want to go across to Vimlendu Jha, environmentalist, joining us on this. Is cloud seeding an answer to Delhi's pollution problems, Vimlendu?
Not at all. I think, it's we need to understand that there are several issues that we have with regard to air pollution. Cloud seeding could perhaps be a band-aid solution because it's still, we don't really have data to prove whether it's worked in any part of the world as the main solution. Beijing is one example, but Beijing also did 20 other things, and cloud seeding was only one of the things. Right now, we need to understand that any solution to air pollution needs to be assessed. The denominator has to be its efficacy, its affordability, sustainability, many of those factors. Right now, if cloud seeding works, it will perhaps impact the air quality index for 24 hours to 48 hours maximum. And also a very, very expensive affair, as you rightly said, that this trial itself has cost almost 3 crore rupees. And imagine Delhi's total area is 1,500 square kilometers. So we're talking about each time the government thinks of this as a governance measure, a solution to air pollution crisis, it's going to actually shell out almost like 100 crore or 200 crores.
But what's the guarantee that it will work at all? So far, I mean, it's
There's
been
no
5-6
guarantee at all.
hours.
And
It hasn't rained. So how do we even know it'll
absolutely.
work?
So in the afternoon today, Zakka, the government said that it might rain within 15 minutes to 4 hours. It's almost been like, what, 7 hours? It
Yeah.
will not work. And that's where I call this a spectacle, a voodoo science, because rather than looking at sources of pollution as a system, as a government, when you look at these tertiary measures, these band-aid solutions that has great great optics and great spectacle value. If you read that article that's been written by 2 senior professors of IIT Delhi, have said the same thing. There's no evidence that we have that cloud seeding works. 1, 2, cloud seeding an expensive affair. That's the second point. And third, the side effect that it can actually have.
No,
So
but
imagine,
Lindu, then tell me what, I mean, we've been crying hoarse about this for certainly at least the last 10 years. You know, vehicular pollution, we're not able to do anything. Stubble burning, we're not able to do anything. Diwali crackers, suddenly it becomes a faith issue. What do we do? Something needs to
so
be
that's
done.
where, as in, it's a public problem and not a private problem. It's not, you and I perhaps can make ourselves happy by buying an air purifier or shifting to a cleaner state called Goa or wherever. But if it's a public problem, it has to be solved by the government. And that can only happen if there's a political will to do that. And that can only happen when you even know what the pollution is. Imagine, Zakka, for the last 10 days, the peak of the pollution, 27 out of 37 monitors have not even been working. That's the reality. As in, there's been reports that we don't even know how polluted the air is, but our media landscape, our public discourse landscape suddenly has been occupied by this voodoo, ineffective, no proof at all science and very, very expensive affair called cloud seeding.
All right, we'll leave it at that, Vimlendu. We'll see. At least we hope it works. We still haven't seen evidence of it working. It still hasn't rained. The Cessna aircraft carrying these silver iodide rockets went up around 2 o'clock. It's been 6-7 hours now. Let's see. Let's see if it works. Thanks very much for joining us, Vimlendu Jha.